So great, I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with the king, no matter you're just the same. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I said, can I be a legend? Search your soul and answer me this question. Do you think I have what it takes to be great, but still be humble and learn from my mistakes? Shit.
Good night, everyone, and welcome to your favorite sports show. This just in. So sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties that we could not really get past, but we are here. So let me introduce our crew tonight. First, we have got E on the mic. Ethan, what's up, man?
How you doing, Justin? First time on the show. I'm glad to be on here with some legends on this show. You know, E on the mic. Gotta talk some sports today. We're gonna talk about the Saints later.
Oh, for sure.
Oh man.
Well, I don't have to introduce Adam because he's a regular. So if you constantly are on this show, you know Adam from our Thursday night lives. But all the same, Adam Lewis from the Water Off Season podcast. What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, guys? Hey, you better watch your mouth over there, man. where are your Dolphins, brother? Where are they? No, I'm just kidding. All love over here.
Right now, we in the off season trying to look at Devontae Smith on that championship game. Honestly,
I know that's right.
But no, yes, that's true. That championship game is coming up shortly. Must get a watch on.
It is good to be here, though. As always, love doing a Thursday Lives with my boy Justin. Man, we're out there building a community. So always glad to be on another podcast, man. Let's get it.
Let us get it. It was what the NFL called a super wild weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
So I'm going to jump right into it, guys. What was the biggest takeaway for y'all from this wildcard weekend? I'm going to start with you, Ethan.
The biggest takeaway from this wildcard weekend was anything can happen. Anything can happen. Taylor Heineken, first off, on Saturday night, going crazy. No one thought that Heineken could make that type of production.
Right.
Especially now he can stay in the NFL now. Because he was like a journeyman. Everyone was like, you heard about Old Dominion. They was in the math, studying for a final. Now he deserves like a spot for a backup quarterback that anybody needs. Like, for example, New Orleans or Miami or a good Patriots team.
Right.
Who knows? And then you look at earlier in the Josh Allen game. That was back and forth. It looked like Josh Allen looked like the man, the myth, the legend. Honestly, against the Colts. Although the Colts did try to come back, but I'll hopefully that's not Phillip Rivers' last game, because that Hail Mary throw. I hope that's not his last game forever. Intake, but it might have been. You just got, especially he has like a lot of kids and he can just easily retire. But I think he wants that ring. I know everyone's hard that he wants that one ring at least.
I think that's what keeps him out of the Hall of Fame discussion, man. People ask me if Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, and I mean, I got to say no. I mean, if he's Super Bowl, then yeah, I'd probably say yeah. I know that might be a hot one. Don't want to venture off, but I agree.
No.
He's definitely
keep him coming.
Definitely taking your side there. Biggest thing that surprised me, man, for sure. I posted about it today. It was the Seattle Seahawks being pretenders, man. I think that's the biggest thing that shocked me this year. I was just like, wow, like. I mean, we knew the offense was struggling. We knew Russell Wilson had been, having all these games where he wasn't who he was earlier in the year. And then to see those Rams come out there, I mean, what more do you take away? Is it the Rams putting up 30 and stifling them to 20? Or are you more shocked by the Seahawks or the Rams? I think that was the biggest game where I was just like, wow, I did not see that happening. I mean, Jared Goff comes in, 3 screws in his finger. I mean, he's not even supposed to play. Jamal Adams lays a hit. Now some people are like, did Jamal Adams cost the Seahawks a game? Because, if this never happens and Goff never comes in, and I'm like, dang, y'all are playing semantics, aren't you? But either way, it was it was sad to see the Seahawks go out like that, especially because I felt like they were the scariest team in the NFC on paper when healthy, even better than my Saints, man. Seriously. And that's a lot for me to say, because I think the Saints are one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. And to have a wild card exit, 20 points. Russell Wilson couldn't even be protected. He was bad. It was awful. All I got to say is if Seattle's first 4 offseason moves are not for the offensive line, they might not have a fan base next year. And it was tough for Seattle. So biggest takeaway for me was Seahawks were fool's gold, definitely. When you come out and play like that in the wild card, I mean, you could even, you could say that about my Saints last year, coming out and playing like that against Minnesota. What the hell was wrong with the Saints? You look at yesterday with the Seahawks. What happened? I mean, the deep bomb to DK. Where else was it? Where was Russ cooking? Because he wasn't. And that Rams defense is elite. And I need them to do some magic against your boys this weekend, Justin. I know it's not been. I know it's not going to happen, but I need it to happen.
Hey, Russell Wilson was doing turnovers. He was cooking some turnovers. I'm telling you that right now. So
hot turnovers, pick six turnover on the screen. Like that was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing.
For me, the biggest takeaway, I think, to piggyback off of what Adam said, is basically there's no home field advantage. Well, at least outside of Green Bay for me. I think the road teams went 4-2, and that's like really shocking. I know one of those is not exactly an upset when you think of Tampa Bay going into Washington. I think we all knew that Tom was not going to lose that game. But when you see a situation where, and I know Adam, I'm not sure who you picked with the Ravens and Titans, but I had the Titans to win that. And to see the Ravens come away with a touchdown, or win the game by at least a touchdown, and then to see all of these lower seeds winning on the road, especially that disaster of a Sunday night football game, which we're going to get to right now. It just shows how much games are decided by fans because there are no fans, and here is the road teams went 4-2.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned it, and it's the perfect segue into this, guys, do you credit the Browns more or do you fault the Steelers more for that loss last night?
Man, I just feel like the Steelers' turnovers really killed them in the beginning. In the
100%.
first quarter alone, first off, the first snap, Pouncey throws it over Big Ben's head like it was like it's Peyton Manning Super Bowl all over again.
I was about to say, did that not breathe Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl to you when that happened? Like immediately.
How do you earmail a 6'4" quarterback? That's my question though. Like, how do you earmail that guy?
Right. Big Ben needs some hops.
and then never stopped there. And then Big Ben starts throwing interceptions in the game, and really fueling the Browns all over the place. By the end of the first quarter, it was already 20-0. It looked like the game is already over, and you make it think like it's the third quarter, fourth quarter. No, it's the end of the first quarter. So it never looked the same to Pittsburgh. So that I just blame on Pittsburgh. I know the Browns defense has credited them. They did get those interceptions. They did recover that fumble, and their offense really clicked. So. But at the end, it's all Pittsburgh. They threw 5 turnovers, really. 4 interceptions by Big Ben and 1 fumble, really costing the game right there. And Juju Smith-Schuster is regretting that Browns are just the same old Browns, although he says he never regrets it. But that's my take on that.
Yeah, that game was huge, man. I want to talk about what you just said right there with Juju, him saying, oh, the Browns are the Browns. Chase Claypool was actually on TikTok live today. Bleacher Report broke it, talking about like, it's a tough loss, but it's all good because the Browns are going to get clapped next week. And it's like, man, y'all keep having that energy. Juju was dancing on the logos and he got knocked by Von Bell. Shout out. He's a former Saint. And then, Juju saying the Browns are going to be the Browns. And dude, 28-0 in the first quarter. Like, I'm pretty sure there's even a picture of Juju on the sideline, like super stressed out early on in the game. And that's just instant karma right there. Do I want to give more of the credit to the Browns or to the Steelers? I really don't want to be that guy in sports where it's like the team keeps on performing and they keep on performing and they keep on getting these wins. Because yesterday was a big win for Cleveland, without question. That was Baker Mayfield's first playoff game. Kevin Stefanski still coach of the year. And the fact that Stefanski wasn't there and it was a 28-0 lead, who cares? Take that 7 points off the board with that snap. They still made turnovers. They still scored. Nick Chubb was on fire. Baker Mayfield played well. Like, people were trying to say that, oh, Baker was just out there. He wasn't necessarily doing anything special. He had 115 passer rating without his head coach on the road in his first playoff game. And he didn't do anything? Okay. I'm giving the credit to the Browns here. I'm giving the credit to the Browns. Their second highest scoring game of the year. Baker Mayfield is playing lights out. It almost makes you not want to see OBJ back with the Cleveland Browns next year. And that defense, man. I mean, when you can rush the passer that effectively with 4, that's why teams like the Saints are able to be well. And that's why teams like, when the Panthers were doing well in sacks, and even the Steelers, when you can rush with 4 and get pressured, then that helps you. So I definitely have to give credit to the Browns. I almost wanted to give credit to the Steelers, but like I said, the Browns have been doing it all year. And I've had them kind of stooped low. I think the Browns are one of the better teams left in the playoffs right now. Yes, they do have a lot of competition above them, but don't count them out in that Kansas City game. I'm going to say anybody can call me crazy. I'm taking KC to win. but don't be surprised if the Browns potentially win that game. I'm
We
serious,
have-
man, because now
No
that
one's
they've
gonna call you
passed the
crazy
hump,
here.
they had the divisional game in the Super Wildcard weekend. Now that they've passed that hump, they've won the first playoff game. They could be onto something now. Stefanski's going to be back. As far as we know, it's going to be huge, man. Don't count them out.
I agree with you, but that's why I love having you, because you're the positive guy. So I get to be.
You always
get
tell
to
me
be
that.
all-
Everybody tells me
He's
that.
giving the Browns a little bit some hope, getting a little bit of hopes, against that Patrick Mahomes, which I can understand that because it could be a one possession game. Mahomes, that team, the Chiefs, can always have that one possession win, so you just never know.
As I said, Ethan, we're gonna get that. Trust me. Don't rush the gun, guys. But I love having him on the show, Ethan, because it allows me to be Mr. Negativity. This is all Pittsburgh being atrocious. I remember, especially in our lives, I kept saying I don't trust Pittsburgh. And the last show I held with our guy Brian Bolster, I was back and forth between, I didn't know who to choose between Pittsburgh and Cleveland in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this, you just saw again what the problems are in Pittsburgh. It's no surprise that they finished the season 1-5 in their last 6 games.
Right.
You've heard me say they can't run the football. And I mean, this is a great offensive line led by Pouncey, who oddly enough had the first turnover of the game.
Yep.
But they can't run the football. They drop the ball more than any other wide receiver in core in the entire NFL. They don't stretch you or they don't threaten you deep. Like, that offense is terrible. So you rely too heavily on defense. And from the time that Bush got injured, I started to question, are they going to be able to handle Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt going on the outside? And clearly they couldn't. So, as you mentioned, Ethan, 4 interceptions from Big Ben, that just set the tone. The turnover on the bad snap, the very first play of the game. Sorry, guys, for me. And I mean, I do love Cleveland because I'm going to give you all a hot take later in the back half of the show. But for me, that loss, I put that on Pittsburgh. Sorry.
Yeah, Blitzburg was nowhere to be seen last night. I'll tell you that much.
They weren't, man. They weren't. I'm still giving the credit to the Browns, though, man. They came out and they played well. They did what they had to do, and they won on the road, like you said, 4-2 for road teams. So they played well.
Quick shot before we move on to the next game. Is this the last that we see of Big Ben?
I say no. I don't think Big Ben's gonna come out like that for that disappointing loss from having 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I understand he got 47 completion. Whoopie-doo, he beat the record. Doesn't matter because he was trying to do catch up. So I don't know.
He also threw for 500 yards with picks, like you said as well.
Exactly. No, I don't think it'll be the last time. If he does hang it up, he does. But Pittsburgh will be in trouble since I don't think Mason Rudolph was the guy, honestly, the back. So it just depends on Big Ben. But to me, I don't think Big Ben's gonna leave. I think he's going to stay there for another year.
I think he could play another year as well. I mean, he just had 33 touchdowns, 10 picks in the regular season, or might have been a little more. I don't know if I was looking at those stats right before the season ended, but I mean, he still played a decent year. The Steelers did still have a good year. Yes, did they go 1-5 down the stretch? That is unfortunate. And people were saying if you can't run the football really in November and December, then it's really hard for you to make a deep playoff run because you got to take the pressure off your quarterback. Look at the Saints, for instance, old quarterback and Drew Brees, but they have L Train and they have Alvin Kamara back there to take the pressure off him so you don't have to drop back 55 60 times, have that many completions, throw for that many yards to get yourself back in the game because you established the line of scrimmage. And I feel like that's the thing that Cleveland did well is they won in the trenches and it showed on the scoreboard.
All right, well, I won't give my opinion here because we have to get through a lot of topics, but I do think that Big Ben probably calls it quits because I'm not sure where Pittsburgh I'm not sure on the offensive side because I don't think that Juju is going to return. I think a lot of people forget that he's a free agent. And I almost get the feeling that he feels miscast as being put in the slot as opposed to being the number one guy on the outside. So I think he's going to find a new home. And, yeah, after that season of offensive woes, I'm not sure that's going to push Big Ben to want to come back. Sorry, Adam, I have to get through quickly your Bears and Saints game because it was just that bad. Bears are just that terrible. And I really want to talk about your Saints versus Tom Brady and the Bucs in the next round. So I'm just going to cycle through this very quickly and ask, do y'all guys think that Mitch Trubisky brought back as a starter? And do you also return Matt Nagy as head coach?
I'm sorry, bro. Say that again.
Does Mitch Trubisky come back as a starter in Chicago? And would you fire Matt Nagy right now?
Definitely don't bring Trubisky back. No, he didn't really play that well yesterday. I mean, of course, he played well down the stretch, like a lot of Bears fans were saying. But I think the Bears know he's not the guy. They looked at Mahomes and they looked at Deshaun before him, and they're mad at themselves for being able to trade up and still taking a terrible quarterback. I wouldn't say terrible. He's good on his best day, but I don't think he could ever be great. I don't ever think he could be elite. And for Matt Nagy, that's hard to say to let him go because this team has had good streaks underneath him, but the play calling is just so bad at times, and I feel like the entire fan base yesterday was calling for Matt Nagy to go. So I feel like it's time for him to get out of town. The Bears do need to change for sure. If Matt Nagy's not going to go, you at least got to get a good quarterback, a good to great quarterback, because the Bears have a good roster. It's almost kind of like the same thing with the Colts. They're just missing that quarterback position. So I definitely think move on from Trubisky, but if Matt Nagy still has a bad, coaching and play calling on another quarterback, it could be time to clean house with him as well.
Yeah, I agree with Adam there. I think this is the last stretch for Mitchell Trubisky. Yesterday's game was his last game. I know there was reports yesterday it was unlikely that he was going to come back, and I don't think so because I understand he did try to make that little nice run coming in to make the playoffs, but it was just the Saints were too much, and I think Mitch Trubisky is pretty much done with Chicago. They got to find another quarterback. Now, for Matt Nagy, I don't think you should fire him. I know Bill Lazor is taking up the offensive line. Now it's not even Nagy that's coaching, it's Bill Lazor is what I've been hearing about, the offensive coordinator. So the play calling was tremendous, although that one play that could have got 10 points, but that man dropped him. Wims was the man that dropped that catch. But I was surprised I didn't even caught that at all. That was too perfect to not drop that. But in the end of the day, Matt Nagy should stay in Chicago. I think he still deserves another year, not like Doug Peterson. But Matt Nagy definitely deserves another year, especially playoffs. So at least they got the playoffs 8-7. No, I think no one thought Chicago was gonna make the playoffs. Maybe Arizona, but at the end of the run, yeah.
So I'm glad that the two of y'all are on the show because it again allows me to be Mr. Negative. I'm done with both. I mean, we don't have to harp on Trubisky. We know the limitations there already. It was surprising that Bill Lazor did not do more read option stuff and capitalize on, to me, what is Trubisky's biggest strength, which are his legs and his mobility. I thought that would have put pressure on New Orleans, especially as we saw what I want to say it was Philadelphia, what Philadelphia did to you, Adam, like with Jalen Hurts. So I was surprised Bill Lazor called that game. It was just a bit weird. I will say this. Matt Nagy was brought to Chicago because of his play calling acumen and his offensive acumen from his time with Andy Reid, I believe, if my memory serves me correct. If you are giving up play calling to Bill Lazor now, you're not developing the quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky, which is the reason you got there in the first place. So you're not developing the quarterback there and you're not calling plays. Then why are you here? And so for me, that's why I'm going to get rid of both. We don't have to harp on Trubisky's limitations, but Matt Nagy is the one for me that really must go. If you're not calling plays, then why have I hired you?
That canvas is dirty with Matt Nagy. You can't rinse and repeat with another quarterback. You gotta rip the canvas down, bro. Get you a new foundation and get you a new quarterback in there.
But quarterbacks who did prove themselves this weekend, the Ravens-Titans game, the game that I got wrong badly so.
Same.
Guys, Lamar Jackson has now gotten over that, or gotten the playoff monkey off his back. With that win for you, though, did Lamar Jackson?
I think he improved a lot of things. He finally got over that hump that everyone's saying that since I lost to the Chargers and to the Titans the following year, I think it really improved Lamar Jackson, showing he could be a playoff caliber quarterback. And they can improve and then especially with next week against Buffalo. But Lamar Jackson, in the end, he looks to be great. I still believe in him. He looks like an MVP caliber yesterday. He looked like an MVP. That one run can send you the game over, honestly. So I think Lamar Jackson is the man for Baltimore, but definitely in the future will do it good.
Man, so I definitely think Lamar, like E just said, getting over the hump, no question. I mean, that's probably the one narrative that was thrown out the window. But I think Lamar Jackson truly showed that he can be that guy. Like, he can put the team on his back, and he can make those plays, and he can be that quarterback. And I think Baltimore is that team right now that a lot of people should be keeping their eye on. And here's why. You look at that Bills and that Colts game. The Bills were outplayed in a lot of aspects of that game. The Ravens right now, I think, have a better defense in Indianapolis by a small margin, but they do. I think it might come down to the pass rush and maybe the secondary. It's really close, though. And the Ravens are they're on a pedestal right now that I feel like they potentially can't get knocked off. Like, I know they're going to play Buffalo, but everybody was counting them out also in that Tennessee game because, Tennessee owns you and this and that. I think Baltimore's a good team, and Lamar Jackson definitely proved that he can win the game. He can get over the hump, and I think he just showed that he's hungry and he's ready for more. You look at the one play he had where he slid down right in front of the defender because he knew to stay in bounds. That's a move that that you have to do that in order to seal that game. And maybe he doesn't make that play last year. Last year I feel like he was maybe a little too amped up. He came to this game more calm. He's more mature. He's a year older, and he knows that his game had to adjust to win that playoff game. And I think that's the biggest thing that speaks out to me from Lamar Jackson.
So I'm actually going to go positive this time with y'all guys.
There we go. We're rubbing off.
Positivity in the air. All right.
Y'all are rubbing off on me in truth. That's not a good thing. What I love most is that not only did he finally win that playoff game, but, the narrative was Baltimore is not built to play from behind. And they got behind 10-0 very quickly. I had my doubts then. I'm like, oh my gosh, well, they're going to have to start throwing more. But John Harbaugh and his wisdom kept, doing what Baltimore does. Like, they kept to their strength. They didn't go away or deviate from what they do. And it was a level of poise I've seen from Lamar Jackson I've never seen before. He never looked worried. He didn't look as if, well, oh my gosh, this moment is going to get too big for me. I mean, you're down 10 on the road to a team that has beaten you twice. And one of those losses came in the same playoffs, as you both mentioned, and it was not even close. And, to keep your poise and composure on the road in that playoff game, come from behind from 10. And I want to say this, Brian is probably going to curse me when I say this now. After going down 10, I want to say Baltimore dominated this game, completely and utterly dominated this game.
Yeah.
So, I think he hasn't proven much for me because I know what Lamar Jackson's limitations are already, but to get the win and to come from behind, I think that was huge. Quickly, in 20 seconds or less, guys, because I want to get through a lot of these games. Do you like the logo stomp payback?
I do. They backed it up. I'll keep it short and sweet. I do 100%. They backed it up. They won the game. They proved everyone wrong, and they're here. Do it.
I agree or disagree. I understand they did it earlier in the season. The Titans did that in the Baltimore, and then they did kind of a little payback. I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful at the same time, especially with Lamar Jackson not giving handshakes to them. But in the end, I understand why they did it now, since that against the Titans, against Baltimore and Baltimore, what happened there. That's my little short, sweet take. I'm
going to, give up my age here now. I was born in the 80s, so I saw a lot of Michael Jordan and against the Pistons. So I grew up in an era where teams did not like each other. So I want to say I love it. I absolutely love it. I love bad blood rivalries. Like I
That's
love
what makes sports, man.
I love when teams hate each other, like absolutely hate each other. So I didn't know it was going to come during the actual game, but I was waiting for it. And to see Marcus Peters do it immediately after the interception and bring everyone on the field with it. Oh, I love it. Like, I don't know what the schedules look like next season, but can we have these two teams play twice? Like, forget once. I want these two teams to play twice. I can't wait.
Switch the divisions out.
Right.
Switch
Same
them up
division.
all
We're going to have to do some moving.
Yeah. Kick the Bengals out. I'm bringing the Titans in that AFC North, and let's have some more bad blood.
Yeah, good luck with the Titans in the AFC North. Gotta be real. AFC South is like a walk through right now. I don't know about that one.
I think I really should talk about the Washington football team, but let's make it fast. How do you like the Washington football team going forward? They did make this a game against a heavily favored Bucs team.
Taylor Heineke he can ball, man. Taylor Heineke can play 100%. I mean, the kid when he dove and hit the pylon with the rush that probably everyone's talking about, separated his shoulder, finished the game. I think that was just icing on the cake. You forget about that. If that doesn't happen, the kid still played. He was able to gash up that Bucs kind of average secondary, when you look at it a little bit, and he was able to get out there. And I think the Washington football team was really in a position to win that game. The defense played good, 31-23. Give them for what, give them credit for what they did. They were at home. They hosted a playoff game, and they kept it close to a great guy. So, and you look at Taylor Heineke. I mean, 5 weeks back, he was literally taking college classes in a dorm room online. And now, oh, hey, we're going to sign you as a COVID backup quarterback. Okay, now we need you. You have to start against Tom Brady. He only lost by 8 points. I'd be happy if I was him. So 100%, man.
Man, Heineke show toughness in that, especially with that separated shoulder kind of guy. He showed the toughness. I really love the kid for Washington. If Washington keeps him around, that would be a nice move for Washington, especially since now they barely have any quarterbacks now. But Washington in that game, it looked like a promising game that everyone thought was going to be a blowout because they had Heineken because Alex Smith got out earlier in that day. It was like, oh, okay, this might be a cakewalk. Didn't look like a cakewalk to me. Near the end of the fourth quarter, it was 18-16, almost tied the ball game up. But I do love the defense for Washington, although their corners kind of blew off because they were trying to disguise Tom Brady. But that man has been in the league since 2000. He's seen everything, so you can't stop that. You can't fool the GOAT there. I'm saying. So
he's been in the league since 2000.
He's been there since 2000. So he's seen it all.
Right.
He's 43. He's an old man, but he's seen the whole entire coverage. He still throws like he's 25 again. So
right. The way he is this year.
The way he looks like this year, honestly. But Washington overall, good. It was a good season. Although it was NFC least, they had a nice run. But next season, let's see what they do. They have a promising D line. Hopefully they can pick up in the corners and on some offensive lines.
I like Taylor Heineke too, but probably as a backup. I think they're one good quarterback away from being, I want to say, an NFC contender. I know Adam gives me a lot of rib for this, but I think if they could look at trading for Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford,
oh yeah,
I think like one of those two quarterbacks, I'd stay away from Carson Wentz simply because and not just because of the contract, but I don't think that Carson Wentz is a leader of men. So I'd stay away from Carson Wentz and go after one of the two Matts. And I think with a veteran quarterback like one of those two, I do think that this is a contender in a very stacked NFC.
They could be.
But
could be. Depends on Dallas, especially with those weapons they have on offense. So
I feel like we keep talking about Dallas for 3 years, and as we just
they got to get the coaching right. They're not
going
to be anything until they get the coaching right. Look at Cleveland.
Definitely.
I think they have to get ownership right. Like you have to beg Jerry to step back.
Literally.
Jerry's legit the problem.
You're gonna have to offer Jerry his own money to give the team up.
Yeah,
never happening.
From the business side, I love Jerry Up, and I mean great marketer, great owner in terms of the business aspect.
Done a lot for the franchise.
But you need to leave football to the football people. Just step the hell back. Hiring Mike McCarthy, I can tell you as a Packers fan, was absolute nonsense, especially for a team that prides itself as a run-first team.
Right.
But I don't really want to be talking about the NFC least on a great program here. So what we will talk about, though, guys, is what happened in Seattle or what didn't happen. Guys, where did it go wrong for those Seahawks?
I think it all started going because the game was consistently right there and then. It looked like how they previously played each other, where it's like a few field goals in there. It's just that Russell Wilson pick six really set the tone for the Rams and throughout the whole course. Because it was a struggling for Russell Wilson to get any connections. When you see him play against the Rams, it was QBR rating was 69, 59, and to end the game was 39% against the Rams, which was horrendous. It was horrendous to see Russell Wilson that played like that when everyone was calling him for MVP early on the season.
Yeah, they were. He was the best quarterback in the league the first half of the year.
Yeah, exactly. As he always is. But.
All right. That's gotta hurt.
They were having troubles with DK Metcalf connections, which you saw all the chaos he was trying to do on the sideline. DK Metcalf, although they finally connected him, but by the time Seattle tried to catch up some momentum, it was already too late. The Rams, especially with Jared Goff with only a few fingers, he wasn't even going to be the starting quarterback in the game. It was Wolf.
Exactly.
It was Wolf that was in there, but that Jamal Adams hit really that hit him in the neck, man. I think that could have caused. I think it caused Seattle the dub, honestly, to me. But in the end, the Rams deserve to go play against Justin's Packers, which they're gonna get nominated. But at the end of the day, Seattle wasn't the same, and they look nothing like they did, especially their defense.
Yep. Man, Seattle, they were just pretenders, man. They came out, they didn't play well. They just got outplayed in all aspects. You look, I don't even think they had 300 yards of total offense this game. It was really bad. The line was bad. They couldn't really get the run game going. The Rams were able to run all over them. It was a tough day for them all around. And I truly feel bad for Seahawks fans, but it's also kind of funny because people really said this team could have beat New Orleans. And it's like, are y'all serious? Like, I definitely did not think that before yesterday, but then after yesterday, it just proved my point. And even if I was not a Saints fan, I wouldn't even say that, man, because people were just putting the Seahawks on such a pedestal that kind of in a way like people were with the Bills, but the Bills have earned that.
If there's something you would like to tell Steezy A. Smith, go right ahead, Adam. I'm giving you all license.
Steezy, you're my brother, but the Seahawks were pretenders. But he already saw my post. It's okay. I'm not gonna continue to rip him. But yeah, man. It was tough for the Seahawks. Like I said, I hate to see that for a team that's so loaded, a team that has a Super Bowl winning streak, and you got to start looking at Russell Wilson. I'm not saying get rid of the guy without question, but how long can you stay a top 4 to 5 quarterback in this league if you're only playing about 10 to 11 good games a year when your team needs you for the entire 16 plus 4 more or 3 more when you get into the playoffs? You look at Russell Wilson from those days when he went to back-to-back Super Bowls. Where is that now? Oh, it's in the first 8 games of the season. You don't see it to finish out the year. It's bad, man. It's bad. So they got outplayed in all phases, but they got to go get an offensive line. Like I said, if the offseason isn't about offensive line, I'd be pissed if I was a Seahawks fan.
No, you all saw my back and forth with Brian. And I think too much is made of that offensive line simply because, oh my gosh, guys, so sorry. Yep.
Technical difficulties there. That's the technical difficulties from earlier.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You good, bro?
Yeah, I'm good.
He's fumbling his take.
Just like Seattle and their Super Bowl chances. You've heard me say this often, Adam.
You're still wobbling a little bit. Oh, you good?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. No sweat, man. You're good. It happens. Hey, anybody watching? If they're the real supporters, bro, they're laughing right now. It's all
it is what it is.
Right?
I'm telling y'all, before, months before, I'd be freaking out. No, I'm like, whatever.
All right, man. Hey, you got the following, man. It's all good.
So let me say this. I agree the offensive line has to be improved, but too much this narrative is made about this offensive line when Russ loves to play hero ball and hold on to the ball forever, just looking for big plays instead of just taking what is given to him. And I can understand a bit, and I know you hated it, and I did too. I can understand a bit throwing Brian Schottenheimer under the bus because part of this is his problem, looking for these deep plays all the time instead of getting to, have some more short and intermediate routes, some stuff underneath.
Right.
But my biggest take has been, and you've heard me say this, Adam, so I'm going to tell Ethan right now, I never had them as a Super Bowl contender, and it felt bad. It was almost like I was hating on them. But this team had too many glaring issues for me to ever think that this is a Super Bowl contender. When you look, as you all mentioned, the offensive line is the first and biggest problem. That secondary, they don't create enough pass rush. That changed, obviously, when Carlos Dunlap got healthy and then came in. But even then, you saw against
That's another thing,
I want to say against Los Angeles, they got no pressure up front. And this is the one thing that blew my absolute mind. I could not understand. You knew what LA was coming to do. This is no secret. This is no surprise. There were no smoke and mirrors. They were coming to hand off to Cam Akers, and if not, they're going to naked bootleg and hit something underneath on play action.
Yep. Because Jared Goff is garbage under center.
Right. And he is garbage with 3 pins in his thumb. So there's nothing deep coming. You have to know everything is going to be short and underneath, or they're going to run the football.
Right.
And Seattle looked so unprepared for what was to come. I mean, like, this is Cam Akers all day. This is just, they're going to power run. They're going to do some sweeps to the outside. This is nothing smokes and mirrors. This is plain, oh, we're going to come and play smash mouth football.
Yup.
And all they had to do was pat the box, stack it, and say, dear Jared Goff, or the backup quarterback that was taking classes the other day, to beat you deep. And they could not get that done.
Right.
So not only am I questioning Russell Wilson, not only am I questioning Brian Schottenheimer, not only am I questioning that offensive line, but I have to ask, what the hell was Pete Carroll doing for this entire week that you had to prepare for a team that owns you, and you had a week of knowing this team that I play twice a year is coming to do what they always do. I'm sorry, Steezy, you are my guy, but this team, for a team, and again, that has Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, all of this, then Jamal Adams on the other side, for all this talent, this is just not good enough, and major changes have to come, or you're going to make the playoffs and just be another also-ran in this loaded NFC.
I agree.
100% agreed. No questions asked.
Sorry, guys, for going on that rant, but
Nah, man.
you know,
Hey, can you imagine if Steezy was on here? We probably would have spent the whole show talking about Seattle.
Oh my!
it just feels like I'm finally able to let off that steam of Seattle, because you know on Thursdays I try
You
and keep
crap on Seattle every
Yeah.
Thursday. He's like, Adam, I feel like I come on here and I just crap on Seattle every week. And I'm like, it's okay, man. I mean, I was crapping on the Bills for the first probably 12 to 13 weeks of the season. I just didn't see it, and then they got hot, and then they started looking really good. And I think they're the best team in the NFL right now, maybe not so much after, over Kansas City, still number one on my power rankings, maybe not after they played Indianapolis, but people are really undervaluing Indy as well. But we'll go ahead and get on. I was just weighing in there for you.
No, we're going to get to that. Unfortunately, it does seem like I have, glossed over the Bills, but because we're going to preview that game with Baltimore just shortly.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, the game of this weekend really is your Saints against old man Tom Brady.
Brady Brees Part 3.
Divisional
Yep.
rivals.
So because it's your Saints, Adam, I'm going to start with you. Preview this series and give me your pick.
All right, man. So off the top, I'm going to take the Saints for sure. Even if I
it
wasn't
has
a fan,
nothing to
man.
do with that Kamara jersey behind your
No,
foot.
no, no,
or
don't
that
look at
little
that. Don't
flag
look at that.
right
That's
there
that's
in
like
New
that's a
Orleans.
gift. It's a gift. I'm hanging it up there. I'm gonna give it to somebody. Yeah. So, none of this behind me, man. I didn't get that from the Saints game either. I didn't get that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, man. Saints are gonna win this game. Saints know. Okay, look, the Saints know what's on the line. They're one game away from being right back where they were 2 seasons ago, and I'm foaming at the mouth, almost peeking ahead of the Bucks. But I obviously know I can't do that. One, this is playoff Brady. There's a playoff football team. They were really hot at the end of the year, and they're just good, man. They are good. And I feel silly because a few weeks ago I said Tampa Bay is not a Super Bowl contender. They are starting to look like a Super Bowl contender. Tom Brady, at 43 years old, threw over 40 touchdown passes and over 4,000 yards. 12 of his interceptions. 5 of those came against New Orleans. Outside of that, that's 7 picks. I mean, obviously we got to put those in there. He did play the Saints, but Brady's a great quarterback. I think what this game is going to come down to is New Orleans knows that Brady doesn't like to throw the ball deep, but that's what the Bucs are going to want to do. I think the Saints are going to be all over that. I think my thing is, if Tampa can get the run game going, is New Orleans going to be able to adjust to that? And I feel like we can. Everything that Tampa is going to throw at New Orleans, I feel like New Orleans is going to be able to handle. But that they're going to play better in the trenches. They're going to play better in the air. I think the offenses are both very well-rounded. It's going to come down to the secondary, and that's where New Orleans has the edge over Tampa Bay. Because this could be a 28-27, down to the last play game. It really could be. But it's going to be a great game. Probably going to be the greatest game of the weekend, maybe of the playoffs. Who knows? But it's Brady Brees Part 3. 2 quarterbacks this old are starting against each other in the playoffs. So it's going to be great, man. But I'm taking the Saints, and I think the key is it's going to come down to the secondary for both teams because they can both stop the run. The offense is great. Got good play callers for the most part on both sides. Sean Payton will probably outcoach Bruce Arians, but I think it's just going to come down to that secondary. But I think the Saints take it, and on to the NFC Championship. Frozen Tundra if y'all win, and we'll host it if the Rams knock y'all off, man. We'll see.
Let's hear you, E.
Woo, woo. That was a good take on that, Adam. But
Thanks, man.
This is a great divisional rivalries. You just never know who can come out of these games. I understand New Orleans won twice, but can they win it 3 times is the main question against your rival. That's the main key to this game, especially when Tom Brady has been going higher in the
Just call him
December
God Brady
and
for the
January.
playoffs. His name is
Goat
God
Brady.
Brady.
Goat Brady. In the
That's
playoffs.
how he plays, man. Brady is
Man.
he played great in the playoffs.
And he wants that the revenge on you guys, especially blowing that Sunday night football.
He said it on Instagram. He said, "Who do y'all want?" I think I know who I want. And then it rolled the score, and I was like, "Oh, here goes Brady throwing shade."
You just don't
Come
want
to New Orleans, boy.
You just don't want to light fire for that man. If you light fire on him, he will definitely make a score on you guys. But do I have Tampa going on to face, let's say, the Packers or the Rams? No, I actually got the Saints. I do believe in Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas, which finally those 3 can finally play in the game since last week was the first time in a long time since those 3 players have played on the same field. So if they can connect and their defense plays stalling and protecting, trying to get to Tom Brady, I think those are the key moments for the Saints. Now for the Bucs, they gotta keep being consistent how they were doing the past December and the playoffs from last week to beat the Saints. You already know how they beat you guys. You just gotta out-coach Sean Payton. But at the end, do I see Tom Brady making the next round? Unfortunately, no. But it's gonna be a close one. This is gonna be a close one. This is not a gimme walk. It's gonna come down to a last-minute field goal for the Saints for the win.
Yeah. This is going to be a defensive, like one defensive lapse, or I mean, either way you want to look, defensive lapse, offensive mistake. One mistake, I feel like will decide this football game.
That's true.
I'm with y'all guys, and the thing is, Ethan brought it up. Divisional matchups are always very, very hard to predict. Like you almost have to throw out the records.
Oh, definitely.
Here's where I will disagree with Adam, though. Although I will take the same pick. I think this game is won in the trenches.
I agree.
That's why I'm going to take your Saints. I think your Saints' ability to generate pass rush on Tom Brady and make him feel uncomfortable, that's the one weakness that you have to get him. And you know me, I crap on Bruce Arians and Brian Leftwich more than any other coaches in this entire league. If they get to feeling themselves again and want to go with those long developing routes and deep balls that Tom Brady at this age really does not like. You know he likes the underneath stuff. You know he likes a lot of screens, a lot of slants. You know, mid stuff, like, you know, intermediate routes. If Bruce Arians gets away from that and he needs time in the pocket for Mike Evans to get downfield, for Antonio Brown to get downfield, for Chris Godwin to get downfield, Cam Jordan is going to wreck that game plan. Mark my words. You do not want to do that.
Yes, sir.
And I do feel that Bruce Arians is that cocky guy. I also believe that Sean Payton is that guy who also wants to prove he is the smartest guy on the field. So you've heard me say this, Adam, a lot. He tends to outcoach his own self, like get in his own way.
Yeah, he overthinks. That's what he did last year in Minnesota.
Yep. I do know, right? The key really to this game, as I said, is in the trenches. If Bruce Arians can get and, you know, keep to what Tom likes, the intermediate stuff, if they can give the ball to Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette more so that they, you know, obviously develop the play action, then they have a chance. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think Bruce Arians is going to want to show himself on a national spotlight, and your front seven is going to wreck this game. Granted, it is hard to beat a team, especially a divisional rival, 3 times in the same year. But I have seen it happen.
Right. It will be a tough game, but it's possible.
Here's an example, especially with the Raiders and the Denver matchup. I remember hearing Sharp saying earlier today where his team lost 3 times to the Raiders in '93.
I'm going to give you all one even better. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Mark Brunell. Y'all may be just a tad too young for this one.
Mark Brunell used to be the backup quarterback for the Saints. I know exactly who Mark Brunell is.
Yeah, I'm a little bit young for that one.
They went 14-2 and made the AFC title game. That would have been the year that the Patriots beat the Rams. Sorry, the Rams won their first Super Bowl by beating the Titans. Would you know it? That Jacksonville Jaguars team only lost to one team all year, twice in the regular season to the Titans, and then in the AFC title game. So it can happen. I mean, it is very rare to beat a team 3 times in the same year. But I actually expect, because of Bruce Arians and Brian Leftwich's, I want to say arrogance, I think Cam Jordan wrecks this game. Write it down, Neil. Yes, write it down. I know you're behind there laughing at me, Neil. Write it down. I have Cam Jordan for 3 sacks in this game.
Let's go.
And New Orleans comes into the frozen tundra. Sorry, where they will lose, but yes, they do beat.
Nope.
They do beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, Justin, we are going to be talking that. We might as well go on Instagram Live while that game is going. We honestly might as well, dude.
Yeah, he got guts. I probably won't even be on social media at all if my team was in the playoffs. I'll just be
right. No, I wasn't looking at anything when the Saints were playing, but now me and Justin we're gonna have some fun. If it comes down to that, you already know.
I feel like it come down to that. I can feel that.
So speaking of my Packers, guys, they are hosting the Rams on Saturday evening.
Yep.
Considering the injuries to Aaron Donald and Jared Goff, do you give the Rams any chance of pulling off the upset this weekend?
Definitely do. Just because of the fact of look at that defense, man. A good defense can show up any day in the playoffs and shut down a great offense. And I think that offense definitely has the potential to get going. I know that they look sloppy, but let's not act like they don't have Jared Goff who can play well from play action, and he can be a formidable quarterback. I think Jared Goff is better than most people give him. I know the thumb obviously is there, and he'll have some time now. He knows he's going to be the starter if they're going to go forward with him. I feel like they will. They just beat Seattle, so maybe they're having that confidence unless they want to bring the backup back, but I don't really see that happening. But I do think they could win. I don't think they're going to. If Aaron Donald doesn't play, that really decreases their chances because obviously with the pass rush on Aaron Rodgers, he can make any quarterback, off of his game. But I just think not the Packers. The Rams are a really well-rounded team. I really do think they are. They have these spurts of inconsistency where people forget how good they can really be. And I was saying it earlier in the year, the Rams are still right now just one game away from going to the NFC Championship potentially against New Orleans. That's not out of the question, And also, Tampa Bay beating us and, the Packers beating the Rams, that's totally not out of the question either. All of these games this weekend in the NFC, those are up for grabs, man. And with the Rams specifically, I think everybody should keep their eyes on the Rams. I know the Packers are taking them seriously, but obviously the Packers have that offense. I do expect the Packers to win the football game. But just don't be shocked if Los Angeles wins. If Los Angeles wins, rather, because people are going to try to write them off. I just think they're a great team, or not a great team. I think they're a good enough team to come into Lambeau potentially and win.
Yeah, I agree with Adam's point. You got Aaron Donald in there and Jared Goff, and those two guys are not there. Their chances decreases a lot amount. And also, what Adam forgot to mention, Jalen Ramsey has to cover on Devontae Adams. If you really cover Devontae Adams, you can contain him. Aaron Rodgers is going to struggle. Let's be real, because he tries to throw to other wide receivers. Sometimes they're there, and sometimes they don't know how to catch the damn ball. But in the end,
Valdez counting him by name. You can go ahead.
You can get MVS on the name drop.
Let's just drop his name.
And then Tonyan, and that's about it. But not a lot of wide
Respect
receivers.
Tonyan's a great tight end.
Tonyan's a great tight end, no question about it, and Aaron Jones as well. But if you could stop Adams for the Packers, I just feel the Packers could struggle and the Rams could pull up an upset, but that's not who I'm picking. I still love the Packers. I love how Aaron Rodgers was doing throughout the season, almost won 50 passing touchdowns, which I predicted he was going to go off this season because of Jordan Love. Because I knew once they picked Jordan Love, it was going to motivate Aaron Rodgers to be that MVP caliber, honestly. Now, and then to prove that, he's going to win against the Rams. And it's going to be by 10 points. I think it's going to be 10 points. Still going to be a close one during the first few quarters, but in the end, I think Packers can seal the game.
Late when they're up by 3 to make it a 10-point lead. One of those types of games. I like your take there, E. I could really see Jalen Ramsey just clamping Devontae Adams, maybe not getting in his head, but just making him not a factor. And maybe they keep it a game. That is a good point, though, and that'll be a big factor for them. But if they don't have AD, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
You got to pressure Aaron Rodgers.
Got to.
With pressure, he makes mistakes.
Yep.
So here's the thing, huh? You're going to be surprised at what I'm about to say. Obviously, I'm going to pick my Packers here. Like, there's no doubt about that. Right?
He said,
I
"Don't
was
even
thought
get
you
me
was gonna
wrong
say
on
the
that. I mean,
Rams or
that's not what
something
I'm
like
here to
that.
say."
Let's not get carried away here for a second. I will tell you though, I'm afraid in this game, and the reason why, again, you've always heard me say I believe in trench play.
Yep.
One huge point I want to say a lot of people forget is that our All-Pro left tackle David Bakhtiari is not playing this game. And it is a bad game not to have him playing because LA is one of those teams who can get pressure without having to blitz. That front four is amazing. We talk about Aaron Donald, but I don't think people give Michael Brockers enough credit for it. Like, that front four really is amazing. And the way to beat Aaron is to get pressure without having to blitz. You have to blitz him just like Brady. He's seen it enough. He knows where blitz is coming. That's why he takes so long at the line to get the ball snapped. I mean, it irritates me a lot of games, but he is so smart pre-snap that he sees everything. So blitzing him is not going to beat him. It's what Elliott does in terms of getting pressure with four.
Yep.
And this is not the game I want to be without David Bakhtiari. I say this, y'all bring up a great point, Jalen Ramsey and shadowing Devontae Adams. That's going to be a great matchup. I like, actually, Devontae to win that matchup. I don't think he's going to go off for a big game, but because Devontae is so great at releasing off the line, I think he's the best at it in the league. I think that is what has separated him from everyone else. Not his hands, not his wing radius, but his actual release off the line. I think he's the best at that. And Jalen Ramsey does like to, press receivers at the line. But I will say I am afraid of that front four. And also, what the Rams love to do, they love to run the football. There's no disguise about that. There's no pretense. And if we do have a problem defensively, it is up front. We did have some success against the last two big running backs, St. David Montgomery from Chicago, and then obviously King Henry, the Titans. But we had to load the box against both teams. Will we load the box against LA? Probably, because any coach that is worth his salt in the NFL is going to dare Jared Goff with a broken hand or a broken thumb to beat us down the field. But that front four does scare me, and their ability to run does scare me. So, yes, I have the Packers by 2 scores, but like y'all said, I think it's going to late. Aaron Rodgers just find something late down the bottom. And I mean, and not even to Devontae Adams, I think it's a situation where, you're so keyed in on him. Robert Tonyan either slips out, or you're going to see a situation where Aaron Jones slips out the backfield and attending and gets one. But I do like my Packers, but it is not going to be easy, as y'all said. That front four does it really does scare me.
Yeah, especially since the Packers did sign someone from the Colts practice squad on Saturday. So to mention about the offensive line problem there, so that's gonna be a key note to watch in that game to make sure that he doesn't let go Aaron Donald to Aaron Rodgers, because if they do, it's gonna be a long night for the Packers.
Hopefully, our offensive line has been great this season, and we do have All-Pro center in Corey Linsley and another Pro Bowler in left guard Elton Jenkins, but for all your All-Pro and your Pro Bowl status, you're facing, and this is what, Troy Aikman himself called him the greatest defensive player he's ever seen. And this is a guy who's played against a great Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor, and he's calling Aaron Donald the best defender he's ever seen. So our line will have our hands full. Who also will have their hands full this weekend are the Chiefs. Because I don't want to call them the Red Hot Browns, but the Browns, fresh off of a huge victory, I think their first in 25 years, playoff that is, will be traveling to Arrowhead with very limited fans. Guys, do you give the Browns any chance of the upset over Patrick Mahomes and that high-flying offense?
I give them a little chance. It's not a big one. I think it's just playing Arrowhead. It's definitely going to be difficult for Baker Mayfield. It's like a new environment for them. Play Patrick Mahomes. The only reason why I give them a chance, I just don't trust in Chiefs when they get in huge. Let's say they get a huge leads and all that. They can't consistently stay in those leads. There's always that one possession game that can really change it off. So that's why I give the Browns a chance. Of course, they do need that running game keep going. That's how Baker Mayfield works with the Browns offense. Is they need Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, just how they play against the Steelers. They need to play that against the Chiefs, because if you don't, and if you don't contain Patrick Mahomes and that offense, because the only team that has ever thrown interceptions that much from Patrick Mahomes throwing 3 interceptions was my team, Miami Dolphins. So he threw 3 interceptions to. But other than that, if you look, he looks pretty good. But I just don't know. He's been a little bit of struggle lately. So that's why I give him the Browns a little bit of chance. But I still feel the Chiefs will take the win here. But it was definitely going to be a great game. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Of
But it
course,
can go either or.
I was waiting for your, Miami Dolphins show. I was just waiting, like, when is Ethan going to bring this up? Like, I was waiting.
There's your no take. I understand. I'm used to this. I'm used to watching at home and seeing my team play out. Right?
That's tough, man.
I already know. Is that okay?
He's already got his set up. He's like, we'll be there in a few years. I'm just still chilling right now.
I've been saying that for I don't know a long time now, but to say, hey, we were there 2016, so that's the only thing I could say. Recent time, but we haven't won since 2000, right? But back to the take. Really, I still think the Chiefs will still have it, but just gotta get out of 1-possession games. That's where I really feel for the Chiefs, because if not, don't, like Adam said earlier on the show, don't be surprised if Cleveland comes up here and upsets them.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely wouldn't be surprised, like you just mentioned there. Don't be shocked if they go up there and upset them. And here's the thing too, like I know the Browns have a suspect secondary. I know that. But they can get a pass rush on you. And we've seen that when you get a rush on Mahomes, he is not extremely effective. He can still win a game, but he's not extremely effective. Look against the Saints, look against the Raiders. I want to even say look against the Dolphins. Y'all were able to get pressure on him. And when you can get pressure on him, he, even when he is, moving around potentially, you can still get him off of his game. But the biggest thing is, call me crazy, they could potentially win a shootout with this Chiefs team. We've seen this Browns offense put up points, not just because they put up the 48 against, I'm drawing a blank, the Steelers yesterday, and not just because of what they did to the Cowboys as well, but we've seen this offense be able to put up points. Obviously, Baker's able to produce. They might have the best backfield in the NFL, with Chubb and Hunt. But this team overall, I just feel like the front seven is one of the best in the NFL. It can definitely play. And let's not act like that the Chiefs, that they need a kryptonite necessarily. Their kryptonite would be a pass rush, and if the secondary can come around, don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns could sneak away with an upset. But I am going to take the Chiefs, of course, to win this game.
So, guys, what are the 2 things you have to do to beat the Chiefs? You have to be able to rush the passer, and you have to be able to run the football.
Yep.
And what are the 2 things that the Browns do best?
Yep.
They rush the passer, and they run the football.
And the Chiefs don't have a great run defense either.
So sit back, guys. The Cleveland Browns are going to go to Arrowhead without fans, and they are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Write that down, Neil, behind there. Write it down, Marsha, and all those who are watching. I said it. I said the craziest hot take for the week. The Cleveland Browns, and not because of Baker Mayfield, because I don't trust him. So let me put that out there quickly, guys. I am not a huge fan of Baker Mayfield. If I had a chance to draft Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or Zach Wilson, if I am Cleveland, I would actually take him.
I don't know about Zach Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how far I'd go. I'm not a Baker Mayfield.
He went that far down to Wilson.
Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Damn, man.
Let me go back to my take quickly. As I told Adam over the weekend, you always have to have an upset pick when you're picking. And here is my upset pick. The Cleveland Browns, without any fans in Arrowhead or limited fans in Arrowhead, they control the football with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They get Patrick Mahomes off center without blitzing. Myles Garrett dominates this game, and they have the Cleveland Browns winning this game by 7. Yes, I said it. I just, it is not because I believe in the Cleveland Browns again, but football is matchups. The Kansas City Chiefs do not like teams that can generate pressure without blitzing.
Right.
That's what Cleveland does.
Mm-hmm.
They have a terrible run defense, and that is what Cleveland is best at. They run the football. Once Kevin Stefanski makes sure that Baker Mayfield does not turn over the ball, and by that I mean keep the ball out of his hands, all you have to ask him to do is get on those naked bootlegs, play action passes. But if you go back there you ensure that you are handing off to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Neil, I hope you have your pen there. Write this down. This is a Cleveland win in the making, and I am not saying this just to have a hot take on my show. I honestly believe that.
I think that hype train's still going with Justin right now.
I love. Hey, man.
The hype train is going.
He made great points, and like I said, if the Chiefs do have a kryptonite, it's getting pressure on that quarterback, and obviously, being able to run the football. So Chiefs have a good line, but in terms of you can run on them 100%, and the defense in the red zone isn't the greatest. So if you can get yourself into those types of situations, they could find themselves in a position to win that football game.
Granted, if there were fans, and I mean, if Arrowhead was
there
full,
definitely
right?
fans there.
Well, I mean, if it was full with fans,
right.
If there was to capacity, there's no way to have the Browns winning this game because Arrowhead Stadium in playoffs is a totally different atmosphere, something that I don't think any of those Browns are prepared for. But with limited fans and, the cold weather actually suiting what you do more so than what Kansas City does, I'm smelling an upset here. Guys call me crazy, but yeah, I'm taking Cleveland this one.
Yeah, as long as there's no weather involved for Baker Mayfield. Because if you've seen Baker Mayfield struggle in those weather games when he was in Cleveland, as long as those doesn't happen, then yeah, I can see where your point comes through. As long as those happen, yeah, I see it.
Well, quickly, because I know if Marsha was still running this show, she'd be saying it's time to wrap up. We have one more divisional game to go. Bills, Ravens, call it.
Man, I'm all over this one. This is my potential upset of the weekend, and here's why. The Bills got outplayed by the Colts in that game. Go look at the stats. They gave up more sacks. They didn't hold the ball as much. Less rushing yards, less passing yards, less total yards. They were awful on third down. I mean, go look. You can look it up. Plain as day. They got outplayed by the Colts without question.
I honestly, Indianapolis had 4 key moments in that game. I forgot to mention them where they lost that game.
Right.
But continue, Adam.
Right, absolutely. This is gonna be my potential upset of the weekend. It's almost to the point where I'm picking the Bills, but only because I want to be right in my pick'ems leagues. Because I know that Buffalo's gonna win, and I'm gonna pick the Ravens, and the Ravens are going to lose. But no, seriously, man, I think right now the Ravens have a better defense than Indianapolis. You can go look at the stats; it's pretty close, but the Ravens do edge them out. Their pass rush is great. Their secondary is great. Their linebackers are great, and also that offense as well. I think if that offense gets hot, it can hang with the Bills. And Indianapolis was cutting up Buffalo's secondary for a good bit of that game. Phillip Rivers did not play garbage in that game, and there's a reason that they only lost by 3. And I feel like plenty of people would say right now in the playoffs, especially with how the community in general and everybody watching sports was viewing the NFL, they thought that the Ravens potentially, or not the Ravens, that the Colts maybe were not a great team because they snuck in. But you look, man, the Colts were a good team, and they gave the Bills a run for their money. I think the Ravens can do the same. This is going to be my potential upset of the weekend. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills on my pick'ems, but I'm going to take...
Adam, we need you to commit to this. We don't want anything.
He's like, I don't want 2 different
divisions.
picks.
What is your true take?
This.
I'm going to take Buffalo. I am going to take Buffalo. I'm going to take Buffalo in a close one just because I trust the offense more, but let's not forget about John Harbaugh and just who the Ravens are in general. The Ravens are showing why they were 14-2 last year, why they were so favored coming into this year, So going to take the Bills, but this upset should not surprise anybody if it happens, because if you look at the Colts game, it was really close for a reason.
Man, I was doing what I was about to say about the Ravens, and it was a potential upset, which I will go for Baltimore. Just look at it, like he said, with the Colts. It looked like Bills had the game, but then the Colts coming back in the fourth quarter, 2-minute offense, it just got clicking, and it looked like the Colts were going to come back and win the game, and Josh Allen was going to choke right there. And it showed that the Bills are not that powerful team that everyone thought they were in the regular season. Now, I'm not, just because I'm a Dolphins fan doesn't mean I'm hating on the. Of course, just the way how I saw that game. It looked, okay, Buffalo is looking great. They're killing the heck out of the Colts. They just contained them good, and then they got the game. But it looked like the Colts were coming back, and then Josh Allen almost making a fumble mistake that could have technically turned the game over to the Colts with great field position, with time left in that game. Everyone keep forgetting about that point for the Colts, but it's gonna be tough, especially when now Lamar Jackson is on fire. He got his first win, and that defense of the Ravens is on fire right now. Better than how they play against Pittsburgh when that scenario with all the COVID and all that. So I expect this could be a good game. It's gonna come down to once again a field goal, but Lamar Jackson gets it done, and we'll go most likely face off Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship.
So let me first preface this by saying Adam knows I have been high on the Bills from the get-go. He was the one crapping on them early in the season. Well, I believe
crapping all over them until like week 13.
he really was. Like he took
Bills were not in my top 10 until like week 13.
Like he really took long to get to the party, and I have been high on Josh Allen. I honestly believe that Josh Allen is the best quarterback from that 2018 draft class. I mean, Stephon Diggs is clearly a top 3, top 4 wide receiver in this league right now. And after all of that I have just said, Baltimore wins this game. I love matchups. And the first thing is Buffalo cannot run the football. Outside of Josh Allen, they just cannot run the football. So everything is on. Like, there you go. And everything is on Josh Allen's right arm. That plays right into that Baltimore secondary with Marlon Humphrey, and as we saw, Marcus Peters on the other side. They're just going to sit. They're going to love this matchup. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I really do like this Buffalo team, and I really wish that I wish that Buffalo was playing somebody else because I want to see Buffalo in the AFC title game. I am that old, so I am remembering the 4 straight Super Bowls that Buffalo has lost. So my heart bleeds for Buffalo, but everything in my heart tells me to take Baltimore. So that's my second upset for the weekend. I'm taking Baltimore in a close game again because I don't think that there are going to be any blowouts this weekend. I'm taking Baltimore. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, thank God it was not the Steelers.
100%, man.
Hey, thank goodness the Steelers are not there. They would have clapped. No questions. They would have been gone.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So as I said, if Marshall was here, and I love to I really do miss you, Marshall. We're going to have you back next week. That is my host on this show, for those who don't know. But Marshall will be telling me to wrap it up. So I'm going to start with you, E. What do you have coming up? How can the guys find you first? And what do you have coming up on your shows?
Where you can find me at is on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all major platforms is E on the mic. I am E, which is my real name is Ethan. What's coming up right now? I do have Doug Smith coming on my show this week, and most likely we'll have the Slow Grind coming out the following week. So that's gonna be a very interesting point, and get a couple of skits out and some videos. I know you guys love those videos, but always I really do appreciate you guys making me come on the show. I always see you guys on Thursday Night Live, always taking those takes. Adam leading the charge a little bit, and then Justin's in there kind of getting those takes in there. But at the end of the day, I always appreciate coming on anybody else's podcast, but I really appreciate this one right here.
We're going to have you back again, Ethan, so don't think that this is going to be your only time. I mean, we're accustomed having Adam, but still, Adam, tell us, guys, where can we find you, and what do you have coming up next?
Absolutely. So dropping on Friday, going to be me and my boy Jay the Plug from the Fantasy Football Pod. From the Fantasy Football Plug. The Fantasy Football Plug.
Oh my God.
Words are hard.
Right. Jeez, words right now. On my next episode, I'm going to be doing it with Jay the Plug from the Fantasy Football Plug podcast. And on Friday, it's dropping. We're going to be talking about trade destinations for Deshaun Watson. And of course, we're going to have a little bit of twist looking at the NFL divisional round for the playoffs. Of course, you can find me on every major platform at What Off Season Pod, spelled SZN. What Off Season Pod. What Off Season on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Apple Podcast, everything of that nature. Putting out videos every single day. And if you find me on social media, just click the link. That's every bit of content on every platform that we got, guys.
So the next time I'm going to appear is on Thursday night with said Adam.
Yes, sir.
Next Monday, we actually have a special guest. I hope I'm going to pronounce his name correctly, Wes Hodowitz. He is a Packers beat writer, as in he actually works for the Green Bay Packers.
That's awesome.
Time to get him on the show.
So he win.
Oh, no. He's going to be reviewing the Packers' victory over Los Angeles. Remember, I said reviewing the victory.
You're hoping they win.
Yeah.
It's not a different Monday where Adam's team wins and then your team loses, the Packers loses, and then you just see a happy Adam.
Hey, you're trying to make sure you never get back on this, Justin, aren't you?
He's trotting a very thin line here. I'm saying
Right.
the best.
I see it.
But I'm trying to low-key keep it cool. Like, you know, I don't want to come across arrogant, but yeah, I can't say it right now how I really feel about this Packers team. But come the first Sunday in February, you'll hear me talking. But yeah, we have Wes. He is a Packers digital reporter. He will be coming on live with me, Neil, and Marsha finally returns to the show from our vacation. We do miss you, Marsha. But that is all the time we have. So for E from E on the mic, that is Ethan. Adams from What Off Season Podcast. I
That
am
nation, baby.
I
am Justin Marvel from This Just In, and we are signing out. Good night, folks.
See you guys.
See ya.
I don't have a mark on my face, and my upset's not enlisted, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, ain't nobody here just the same. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I said, can I be a legend? Search your soul and answer me this question. Do you think I have what it takes to be great, but still be humble and learn from my mistakes? Shit.